Welcome, motherfuckers. I guess I shouldn't start the pod with a curse, right? Like that hurts the algorithm.
No, I like it. I
Yeah,
like
see,
that. I
you
like
start with
that.
that
Instead of
energy off
singing.
the rip, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, welcome to ASOS episode 171 or 172. I don't know. I forget. But we're down to two because everybody else is down in Mexico celebrating James's soon-to-be wedding. Although he's married already, I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but they're having a ceremony in Mexico, and
He is technically married, and yes.
but we're not there.
No, we're not there. I'm not there because I'm broke at the moment.
Same here. Same here. I'm broke as shit. I will say that, like, if people have known me for long, then they know my takes on destination weddings. It's not the case here in this particular situation. I wanted to go. It was going to be a quick thing, but monetarily it just didn't fucking work out. But congratulations, James. Hope you guys have a lot of fun. Can't wait to hear all the stories. And can't wait for Ryan to be on the news because he gets kidnapped.
I do not think he'll get kidnapped. I do think we see a picture of Ryan asleep on the bathroom floor. That's my prediction. I was asleep on the bathroom floor, drunk as fuck, passed out. Like we had to take him back to the room after the reception type shit.
All right, so so that's the thing is like James's crew. I don't know that well. I guess through random group messages on Twitter and on iMessage, I've run into a few maybe. But beyond that, I just don't know. I don't know how crazy that group is because I look at James as a fucking choir boy, so I don't know what the rest of these
But
guys.
he's not.
I,
He's okay. So, but from what I know about James, he was wilder in his younger days.
as we all
From what
were.
I know, I wasn't there, but just what he's told from what he's told me.
I just know when we're usually around and I'm telling stories from my past, when Mauricio would tell stories about his past, when Ryan would tell stories about the past, and then James would pipe up. We're like, one of these things is not like the other, bud. It's just. But hey, they're gonna. Regardless, I'm sure they're gonna have a whole lot of fun. Mexico should be fun. That'll be good. All right. So off to us, and we're not gonna do anywhere near as much structure as James would be here if he was doing the hosting. So, I mean, majority of any news would be coming out would be NFL related. So, I guess let's recap some of the picks from last week, and then go into what it is we think is going to happen this week. See whatever storylines kind of come up within the topics of conversation. Before we even do any of that, let's go through the picks and see exactly where it is we're standing here on it. Because I mean, I think that should be a good benchmark for who people should and should not listen to. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So still me on top. I'm below 70%, but I'm at 69. Nice. Then we have Ryan, who I still don't know how you motherfuckers are letting this dude get by on you. But he's sitting at 63%, 49 games right. And then you and James, the dregs of our picks, are at 47 apiece.
Oh,
at
such
60%.
So far from us and Ryan. So much disparity.
I'm just saying, if we're looking at what happened last week? Last week, Ryan won. I mean, he extended the lead and he cut down on mine last week. So I'm just saying, we're not used to Ryan doing this. But as far as who's gotten top points, 3 weeks, Ryan.
Let's get into those picks because I started the week 2-0 because I knew Justin Fields would beat a shit team. I can't. Who they play?
I don't know because it didn't look like my team out there. That looked like a Dan Snyder team out there.
To pick the Bears. And I just want to speak about my reasons, since I know we'll get into some of the games that I picked that were stupid. And so I want to talk about this one. I picked the Bears because I don't think of Washington as a 3-2 team. That was my reasoning for picking the Bears. And Washington is not that good. They're an average team. And I expected them to lose because the Bears aren't bad. They're kind of average too, and they're starting to put it together with Justin Fields. And because they've changed the playbook the last couple of weeks, they're doing more play action and stuff like that with him. And it's helping him a lot. They're using this guy, DJ Moore, decided to, try and get him the ball. But he fucking ran roughshod over Washington. But yeah, so that's why I picked him. So, but yeah, go ahead. Get into it.
I'll say this: it was it's not the most painful loss I've ever experienced as a Washington fan. It's not,
No. It got to be that Eagles 2010 Michael Vick. I don't know.
Up there. It's up there. Especially because the trash talk going to happen right before the game, and Deshaun just shut everybody up in the first fucking play. That was like, oh, why'd y'all talk shit? It's like, what the fuck y'all do? Why'd you do that? But this one, I think the way that I describe this one is I've never had the rug pulled from under me so quickly. So, like, even though I didn't think it was, Washington has been absolute shit on defense this year. I mean, going into the Bears game, we let up 30-plus points 3 games in a row, which is supposed to be a great defense on our part. And then you had Justin Fields had the good 3 quarters against Denver the week before, and I wasn't sure, all right, was this a final hurrah from Justin Fields, or did they make actual changes on the offense? I didn't do my due diligence of looking at, like, the all-22 or something on the Bears. I just didn't respect them. Going in the game. But if you actually look at it, you look at this game, they did change significant portions of the offense, and they're running it through DJ Moore. And we had nothing that we could do to stop any of it. I mean, Chase Young has been having a pretty good year since he's been back as far as quarterback pressures, but if any time that they could just look at, regardless of whatever the matchup was in the secondary, and say, my guy's going to get it, the fuck you want to do with that? And they came out and they punched us in the mouth. I think the team did the same thing that I did, which was overlook the Bears. Because look, going into that week, what was the conversation about Chicago? Is this the worst team in football? What should they do with Justin Fields? Are they going to be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes? And I bought into it. Because I wanted to believe in my fucking team. But yet my team has shown me that maybe Sam Howell's a guy. That's pretty much it. That might be the only thing I can rest my hat on.
My question to you is, and this is kind of fantasy related, but like Curtis Samuel's gotten more usage than like Terry and Jahan so far. Do you think you guys need to maybe like get the ball to Terry more? I just say that because I don't think none of them are bad. I like all 3 of those receivers. I think Jahan is a really good like number 2. But I just like wonder, like, do you think there needs to be more of a concerted effort to, hey, we got a playmaker in Terry who's probably like at least a top 10 receiver at least. Let's maybe give him the ball more.
No, I don't think you should put the ball in the playmaker's hands. The fuck you think? Like, it's of course, like, all right. So that's the thing with the Eric Bieniemy stuff that I'm looking at right now is that I'm looking at the things that we're doing on offense, and what it feels like is he's taken the Kansas City offense, including who it is they have at personnel, and just dropped it in Washington, right? Because it's like they don't know how to get the receivers involved. They abandoned the run because they don't think they have running backs. And Logan Thomas is out there catching everything because they think he's Travis Kelce. Like, it's just, that's the offense. It looks as though Bieniemy has a great system that he built with Andy Reid, and they can put up some yards, but it's not based on the personnel we have here at all. Because you can see with Mahomes, what does he do? He spreads the ball around, right? Except for when they had Tyreek. And the thing with Tyreek is you can almost see that they look at maybe Curtis Samuel as more of a Tyreek guy than anybody else because he's more of the gadget guy, right? Like Tyreek in the Kansas City offense, you could do whatever it is you wanted to with him, and he can make things happen. And I think that's what they look at with Curtis Samuel. And what they're downplaying is the fact that I do think Terry McLaurin is an extremely versatile player. They're not utilizing anything else that he's good at. Like, I think that he's a dude that he gets great yak. You can give him the ball fucking short and just make shit happen. They're not doing that. It's not a part of the fucking offense. It's just feed to Logan Thomas as much as possible. Take a deep shot every once in a while to De'Ami Brown. And then Curtis Samuel's going to get more targets than anybody thinks that he should get. That's the offense. There was do you know, I don't know if you know this. Well, no, you do know this stat because you're the one that fucking posted in the goddamn text thread. Because I didn't want to post it in the fucking text thread. That there was at one point during the game that we had 55 straight dropbacks without a designed run, which I think is a record in the NFL since like 20, 30 years or some shit. What are you doing? like you got Brian Robinson who's been averaging a pretty good clip. Antonio Gibson looks great if he's not fumbling. Why aren't we running more? He just doesn't. What are we doing?
I thought you were about to reference when you guys had Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Bobby Slowick, and Mike McDaniel all on one offensive staff, and you guys went 3-13 that year. But like, just that coaching tree. Oh my God, what a fucking coaching tree to let
walk
go.
Yeah, but that's once again, that is that's the fucking that's the Dan Snyder of it all, right? Mike and Dan leave at the worst. They hate each other's guts. So what happens? Any one of Mike's guys is going to be like, we're not fucking staying here. And Dan's like, I'm not going to hire his son. So it's a fuck off. And then you had like one or two of the guys that were on that staff actually stuck around it because there's Jay Gruden era, right? So like, if I'm not mistaken, McVay carried over through to the John Gruden era, to the Jay Gruden era. He stuck around.
Years, yeah.
Right. So like, we had a lot of talent that have come through Washington, but that's the thing is like, we had an organization who the ownership, instead of developing talent, they let talent slip through their hands or they kick them out the door. A la the guy who we'll talk about a little later, Trent fucking Williams. There's players and coaches and everything that have slipped through the cracks in Washington. The hope is with the new ownership that won't happen, because post-game, I saw something I had not seen from maybe any owner in the NFL in quite some time. But Magic Johnson came out and fucking called out the team in the fucking first year, not even halfway through the season, and saying they came out basically flat. They did not play championship level of football. Basically letting everybody know, hey, your job's on the fucking line this year, guys. And I love it. I fucking love it. I dig it. I'm just hoping certain guys don't slip through the cracks. Like I think Chase Young. I'm hoping they re-sign him.
Oh yeah, because I think he's the top 3 in pressures this year already.
Chase has looked great. That's the thing is like we have enough money. If you let Jacoby Brisket go and Logan Thomas go, you'd have Cam Curl can get re-signed. You can get Montez Sweat back. You can get Chase Young back, and then we figure out from there. But I don't know.
You can just send him to Baltimore for a 5th round pick. Sounds much better to me.
They're worth a lot more than that. Thank you very much.
You're right. 4th rounder for Chase.
The fucking second game you picked right was what? Jacksonville beating Buffalo?
Jacksonville, Buffalo. I was big on Jacksonville coming into the season, and I still remain. They were. That was literally though. That was a big plus for me. They're playing at home, in London, but also because I felt like, which I should have saw Baltimore doing, which I had a feeling they might, but I was hoping they wouldn't. I felt like Buffalo would do a thing that Baltimore did early when they lost to the Colts, which was you win a big game and you get kind of high, like they won a big division game. You get kind of high, kind of off of that, and then I felt they would be a little flat playing Jacksonville. Plus, it's a long trip to London, and I felt like they would come out flat, and they did. But I think that the thing that hurt the most, obviously, they just so many injuries. They're like the Baltimore Ravens of the AFC East right now. Is so many injuries. Like they lost their cornerback for the year, and
Josh Norman's back.
That's crazy. That's insane. That's a name I haven't heard in a while. That's insane. But yeah, Trevor Lawrence looking good. He's like their offense has been a little up and down. It's been a lot of drops, to be honest. Also another a Ravens problem. There've been a lot of drops, and like also not just drops, but like they've had an issue where instead of drops, it's like they only get 1 foot in. Like the Jaguars have had so many instances in which it's a touchdown pass, but they can get 1 foot in instead of 2, and it's crazy. It's like I'm hoping they get some like good progression, like and because they regressed in that area, so I'm hoping like they can turn that around somehow moving forward. But yeah, I still think they're a good team. I know the Texans have looked good, and the Colts look okay. But I still think the Jaguars are the only team out of AFC South that's making the playoffs.
I won't disagree with you. I just think Jacksonville, they ended the year last year kind of on fire. Like they started and it feels as though they just are. Look, we have pieces that haven't necessarily been around. We got to kind of get them regulated, get them figured out. But more than anything, I look at that. London's not just a home game. I call them a super home game because it's a better home crowd for Jacksonville than they get in fucking Jacksonville in London. It's a much bigger stadium, and a lot of people fucking root for them. They're probably going to move to London at some point if they can get the air travel figured out. Yeah, I mean, it's Buffalo being Buffalo. They're gonna lose some games. They're gonna win big. That's what they are. They're fucking flashy. I see Buffalo winning by 30 or losing by a little, and that's just how they're gonna fucking operate. And then they'll lose in the fucking wild card round. It's the fucking Bills being the Bills. All right. I saw that. What do we got? We had Houston, Atlanta. Atlanta getting the fucking win because Desmond Ridder out of fucking nowhere decided he wanted to play football again, which was annoying as shit. But still, CJ Stroud looks amazing. He still looks great as far as any of the rookies go. Did you have anything else?
Did everybody get that on picks? Everybody had Atlanta?
Let me see. I had just my picks up for that one. You were the only one that picked Atlanta. We all picked Houston.
I was 3.
This was the game that I thought was going to be the final nail in Ridder's coffin.
I was skeptical because I thought it might be 2, but I was more so on the side of every season you have a few teams and a handful of teams that look good in the beginning, and we're like, hey, they might do it. They're surprising us. They might do it. But to me, the Texans are one of those teams, like, they look good, like, fine. Like, they're not that, though, yet. Yeah, they're not that yet. And I just felt like the Falcons were just better suited to beat them. And that's all. That's all. Like, the Texans are still young. Like, they're good, but they're young. And when you have youth, you have inexperience. Like, there's more mishaps that come, so much inexperience. Not like it's a game of inches. And I felt they would lose. So yeah, I started off the 3-0 and still let Ryan beat me. That's crazy.
My thing is, regardless, it's still to me, Houston played a damn good game. It's just I don't think anybody expected Ridder to go off. And I think that was the difference.
Going off is only 20 for 27, like 250 yards or something.
That's
like
a fucking go off for that man.
I know it's a go off for him, which is crazy.
All right, so next up was Detroit, Carolina. This is where the wheels start coming off for you. You picked Carolina, beat Detroit. Don't know what that thought process was.
Well, starting off 3-0. He checked game.
Yeah, there we go.
He checked.
The Lions, they're still fucking chugging away. I fucking love that team. I hate it when everybody was at the beginning of the year thought that was going to be the team that, like, everybody thought was hot, but they were throwing cold water on. Like, it was a sexy pick in the preseason, and then when it closer to the season, everybody was like, maybe we don't necessarily believe in these guys. Fuck that. 42 points.
I'm still on that.
I don't understand. Jared Goff looks great. Like, they
sure.
And they got on defense. Aiden Hutchinson has become a fucking problem.
Now that's a real player. That's a real player. Top 10 in his position.
Yeah, you can fucking ball. Like, there's like that fucking one-handed intercept. God damn. Man, boy, like, whoa, what was that, man? Like, I like the fucking Lions. They are beyond just they're holding up their end of the bargain. They're so much fun to fucking watch, man. I
like them too. I wanted them because I think we all talked about the NFC North was the hardest pick. Like I said, like anybody could do anything. I think we all agree. Like anybody could do anything in that division.
I'm still kind of there.
Well, yeah, most of us. Anybody could do wouldn't surprise us. I think a lot of people we had it like. I know I had it within like 3 wins. Everybody in the division was within 3 wins of each other. But the Lions look good. That's fine, but we'll see how long they look good, man. I still am skeptical because Jared Goff is still Jared Goff to me, and I know he's playing well. That's great. Kirk Cousins plays well sometimes too.
But Goff has a Super Bowl. He doesn't have a win, but he's gone. That counts.
Okay.
For something. He's been there. I just think Goff is one of those dudes that get overlooked a little bit. And I think that overall...
don't do that. Don't do that. That's not true.
There are 2 things when it comes to this Lions team. I'm going to say there's 3 things. There's 3 things that come to this Lions team that'll always cast doubt in everybody. I think Jared Goff is overlooked. We'll come back to that. Number 2 is they're the Lions.
Yes, I think you can't overlook that.
They're the Lions. They're the fucking Lions.
Because when I told you guys the Browns were going to be good, you were like, but they're the Browns. And I'm like, everybody, we did it. It's just different teams.
There's stigmas. So, and then the third part is I do think that there's a natural inclination because of the NFL kind of washing away the loud, brash coaches, the grit guys. Is Dan Campbell any good? I think there's a thought process with that. But the thing is, Dan Campbell doesn't need to be any good because he got one of the best fucking offensive coordinators in the league who will definitely be a head coach next year in fucking Ben Johnson. So, like, there is an element that he can just be the rah-rah guy for a team that feeds off that energy. And I think the combination of those 3 things, I think because they're overlooked because of the Lions, coupled with that Dan Campbell thing, because Jared Goff feels overlooked, that feels like bulletin board material for a fucking team to perform and to actually believe, because I think they believe in what Campbell's saying.
So let me just give me 1 second. I want to look up the rest of their schedule because
don't do that. We don't need to do no.
No, I just want to look up the rest of the schedule really quickly.
And who doesn't want to root for the Lions in some way, you know?
Okay, it's not a bad schedule. It's an easy schedule, actually.
That division is what? Schedule. The Vikings, who we're going to talk about, they're falling the fuck apart.
They're on the road. Here comes the two game losing streak, in my opinion. Possibly. We'll see. I don't know. Bucks on the road, Ravens on the road, Raiders at home, Chargers on the road, Bears at home. We'll see. Packers on Thanksgiving at home, Saints on the road, Bears on the road, Broncos at home, Vikings on the road, Dallas on the road, and they end with Minnesota at home. That's at least 5 losses, but we'll see.
I'm not going there because any one of those teams you named, unless I blanked out for a moment, none of them have defenses that scare me. And if I'm looking at
none of them.
What, you're gonna get Baltimore?
Yeah.
I just lost to Kenny
Payne. Statistically, we have. I'm not even going to get into it. We just lost to Kenny Pickett. You can look it up.
But here's the thing. But beyond the defense,
if you check that defensive stats, though, you're
fine. But trust me, some of the stats are misleading in certain things. Because I was looking at the Falcons coming up in this game this week, and they're a top 10 defense. So the idea, I don't see an offense in that group that I would outright pick against Detroit. I think they can outscore anybody. I really look across the league and outside
the Dallas defense doesn't scare you?
They have, but now they're injured as fuck.
But I'm not counting the 49ers game. The game before.
Yeah, let's talk about that. When we get to that one, let's see how we feel about that.
The 49ers game doesn't count. It doesn't count.
But that's the thing. There are only 3 teams in the league that I can absolutely look compared to Detroit and say, all right, they'll outscore them. San Fran, Miami, and maybe Buffalo on a good day. I don't really look at anybody else in the league and say that they are more consistent in scoring than the Detroit Lions. And I just think that if it gets to a point of being a shootout, I'll take the Lions all day, every day against almost any other team in the league, unless you have a defense that outright scares me. And I'm looking at just scary defenses in the league right now, outside of some of the ones, outside of like the San Francisco 49ers that I just named, Philadelphia sometimes. Not all the time. Look, Washington hung 30 points against Philadelphia, so I don't know.
I was going to say Philly's not been scary at all this year.
So in Dallas before the injuries. So it's like if I'm looking at that, like anybody else really terrifying? I know you want to say the Ravens, but
I'll even throw the Ravens out because we've had injuries, but we've been killing people. But that's fine. That's fine. Stats don't matter. All that shit. We haven't played a great quarterback. That's fine. Cleveland, before they played a better team in us, was looking great on defense. They just met a team that's better than them. And to be honest with you, and I think Cleveland's defense is pretty good. But I mean, I think I would go San Francisco, Cleveland, to be honest, if it was me. San Francisco, Cleveland. Then I go, if it was me, Baltimore. Then go like Philly, and we'll see.
The Browns were on a bye this last week. So
that's what, and out of sight, out of mind.
I think there's a portion of that, but I also think that when I saw that there was one thing as far as having that defense, but also having a Nick Chubb on offense to kind of offset time possession when it comes to that. And I know I haven't necessarily seen a full run of Kareem Hunt yet and Ford and what it is they're going to do on offense when they have the full complement and they know exactly what it is they're going to do with it. So jury's out for me, but I will 100% admit from the preseason when we did the predictions, you nailed the Browns prediction as far as what it is they were going to be on defense. And you were right. You were 100% right. They did. I did overlook them. And I think a really big part about the Browns that I think works out in their benefit, especially with a Myles Garrett, is that if you look across certain aspects like that division, in a Joe Burrow, in a Lamar Jackson, Myles Garrett lines up really well against those two quarterbacks as far as what he can do. But if I'm looking at the Lions overall and the way that they could spread that football out, looks better than the Ravens, a lot better than the Ravens, and it looks a lot better than the fucking Bengals are finally starting to catch, just whether or not they keep it. Because the Bengals should be one of those offenses that I'm like, all right, they should be able to be one of the ones that outscore Detroit. Just haven't seen enough of it so far this year. I just think that even if you have like a legit pass rusher against this Lions defense, against this Lions offense, they can still get the ball out fucking quick as shit, and they can make stuff happen. Like they can offset a lot of things that happen defensively. I just don't see a defense that really terrifies me when it comes to that.
That's fair. I also don't think they've played a good defense yet. So I think the best defense they played was the Chiefs, and the Chiefs held them 21 points. Outside of that, they played the Seahawks, they played the Falcons, they played the Packers.
Top 10 defense.
Yeah, and the Falcons held them to 20. Like I said, they haven't really played like a real top 5, top 8 defense yet. No, and again, looking at that schedule, they only have the Ravens are a top 5 defense. I think the Saints are. I can't remember. I know they were. I think the Saints are. But the
other part about
the Cowboys.
You know where the Lions' defense is ranked?
No.
6. Once again, you can look at the schedule, but they have.
I was going to say.
But
they played the Chiefs without. They played the Chiefs without Kelsey.
Chiefs without Kelsey. The Seahawks have explosive offense.
Seahawks put up 37. The Falcons have Desmond Ridder. The Packers were hurt. And the Panthers put up 24.
Right.
So, like I said, like, give me this next 4 weeks is it. If you get a 3-1 from them, I'm with you.
You're right.
I'm with you.
But it takes 3-1 to get there.
You got Bucks, Ravens, Raiders, Chargers. You should beat the Chargers. Actually, you shouldn't. No, yes, you should. You should. They have a bye week. You got 2 weeks to prepare.
They do get Eckler back.
Week and a half game. It was a week and a half. No, I'm saying like but the Lions have extra time to prepare for the
They got extra time to prepare, but I'm just saying we haven't seen Eckler, and Eckler.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about Eckler, to be honest.
My only concern with the Chargers is that defense. I'm not concerned about that offense, not at all. But that defense.
Yeah, I'm not worried. Like, the Chargers are going to be great on offense either way. But yeah, if you go, because if you lose to the Bucks, lose to the Ravens, then maybe you beat the Raiders and you lose to the Chargers. That's 1-3. Now you're what, 5-4? It's like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know.
I still love them.
No, it's fine. I'm just saying, like, as a real contender.
As a real
like, it's fine. Like, yeah, they might even make the playoffs. But if we're talking like when it comes to playoff time, we're seeing what they are. They haven't played anybody yet, so we'll see. This is like your first slate of like some decent teams. I'm not even really counting. The Bucks have played some good defense, so we'll see. Maybe they can do. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they count. I don't know. They're off to a good start.
All right. Colts, Titans. Anything to really say about that one?
No.
Yeah, didn't think so. Giants, Miami. I think everybody expected the same outcome. Maybe Miami, they may have thought Miami should have put up 50 points, but they're just Miami's rolling. We get to New Orleans, New England. 34-0. Second week in a row, Bill Belichick has a record-sustaining loss. I've been having this conversation with a good friend of mine, Brennan. I know you've done a podcast with Brennan. You know who Brennan is, my buddy.
Yeah.
Me and him have been arguing left and right because he is joined the Skip Bayless train and believes that Bill Belichick is completely overrated as far as the aspect of. Now, here's the thing: when you hold his feet to the fire, he changes up and just you got to understand what I'm saying. I'm saying that he is he's not the greatest coach of all time. He's overrated in that. He's still a top 10 coach, but he's not the greatest coach of all time, which is an easier argument, of course.
Okay. That's fair.
But I still think he's wrong. I still think
I think he's wrong too. I think that's fair. My thing about that is because I think this is where I love Twitter. It's so much nuance and context, like from like tweets, and it really adds. Bomani had this tweet responding to somebody that was talking about that. You saw the tweet?
I saw some of it.
Where he was saying like, if we're going to have this conversation, then why are we discounting the first 2 Patriot titles where Brady wasn't that good? And if we all remember correctly, Brady wasn't really like a top 5 quarterback until that 2007 season. Like when he got Moss.
I would say a little bit before that, but yeah. I mean, he peaked.
I don't think it was top 5. He was up there. I think it was top T. He came into the conversation as top 10. I don't think he was top 5.
I'm thinking about who was
But
playing.
I could be wrong. I could be. That's a long time ago. I could be wrong. Let's just say, but he wasn't better than Peyton.
No,
he wasn't considered better than Peyton until maybe that 07 season. We're like, oh, he's got the numbers now.
Now he's got the numbers.
He's putting up some numbers now.
100%.
Now he's in command. And so yeah, so like Bill Belichick is still a great coach. I don't like. You got to look at the roster too, man. It's like what like. Here's where the referendum is. It's the Bill is so great. You can give me shit and I'm going to make it shine. That's no longer true. What I think is because of the way the game has changed and the way a lot of teams are, it's like a lot of teams are like, yo, we just going to build, like we going to have like these shiny pieces at wide receiver and running back and do good at on offensive line and defensive line. I can't name, outside of Matthew Judon, and Christian Gonzalez, the rookie cornerback, I can't name anybody on their defense. Like, damn sure I can name people on the offense because I was just hoping that would be good in fantasy and I picked a few of them. But like outside of that, like they got Ramondre Stevenson, solid running back. You know what I'm saying? These are the type of teams that a guy like Tom Brady, or even like if you gave Bill a top 15 quarterback right now, I think they have an even record or close to even record. But he has an egg quarterback, and he's not making the shit shine right now.
He's below.
Yeah, it's like everybody else is up in terms of roster.
Yeah,
like
but
they have the worst roster in their division.
Easily. But
what do you expect?
Right. But I think that's the thing that, like, to me, I look at it and say that I think that people are overblowing the last few years as far as what it means as far as his legacy goes. If it were up to me, I would have told Bill, retire after Brady or go somewhere else. Like, don't stay in New England. Like, just go somewhere else. If you suck somewhere else, it might be because the roster shit. You don't have full, whatever. There are variables. Protect the legacy, Bill. Protect the legacy. What would we know about Bill? He's never been a great GM. He just makes do what he has, and he gets the best out of these guys. His defenses are all he's the greatest defensive mind in the history of football, bar none.
Yes.
And I think that like those things alone make him special and makes him, in my opinion, the most special of anybody. If you look at almost every Hall of Fame coach or any coach we're looking at upper echelon and stuff, most of them have Hall of Fame quarterbacks to kind of back up what they're doing. The list that don't are very, very small. You talk about like Chuck Noll, he had Terry Bradshaw, but Terry Bradshaw was Terry Bradshaw. The dude that I look about as the most underrated coach of all time is Joe Gibbs, because he wins 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks, none of which are Hall of Famers. Amazing job, in my opinion. But Bill, as far as what he did, and I think that what people don't give enough credit for is what he did defensively, in the sense of how many Hall of Fame quarterbacks have come and gone with 1 Super Bowl, 2 Super Bowls, because the team could never put a defense to go with them. You know what I mean? So like you look at I look at the Indianapolis Colts with Peyton Manning, I say, you fucking failed, bro. That was a failure. You had arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. You won 1. And against the worst other opponent maybe we've ever seen in Super Bowl history in the Chicago Bears that year. Like, you won 1. The only reason that happened was because Bob Sanders came back off an injury to make the playoff run. Before that, y'all were fucking sucking. Y'all had to put up 40 fucking points a game because it wasn't working any other way. You look at the Green Bay Packers. I look at the Green Bay Packers and say you had uninterrupted Hall of Fame quarterback play from 1992 to last year. You've got 2. Eli Manning has as many Super Bowls as you. Why? Because you guys couldn't put together defenses to save your life. You need to get Reggie White for the first one, and the second one, you guys had Charles Woodson and everybody fucking else there to try to get that done. Beyond that, you only have the 2. But what did Bill do? He always had the defense to complement Tom, and it never trailed off. It was always there for him, and he deserves a fuck ton of credit for that. I get he's never been a great GM, and if you really want to look at it, look at the Bill Belichick coaching tree. They suck. If you're even looking at that, you got to think, all right, if these guys were only shining when they were in New England, how much more was Bill really doing? And I think that more than anything, the motherfucker's 71 years old. At some point, you just lose it. Like, you get too old. especially if you have your hand in everything. I just think his age has got nothing to do with how great he is. He's just aged out. It happens to the best of us. How many drivers do we want fucking the driver's license taken away? He's running an NFL franchise. Get the fuck out of here. I just think it's complete horseshit. I hate the fact that I understand his legacy being questioned because it looks terrible right now. But you're also talking about in the shadow of the greatest quarterback that has ever played the position has left. And the cupboard was bare. It is what it is. And they never finished low enough to go draft a top solid quarterback, right? So it's like, what are you supposed to do? I don't know. That was my just need to make sure I defended Bill in that little bit because I'm sick and tired of bullshit. And Bomani Jones, actually,
I think.
Oh, you got to say something?
I think that, like I said, I just think the league's kind of caught up with them in the way in terms of like team building. And just in terms of team building, like I said, it's just the rosters are so much better, and like the way like teams are building these teams these days, it's like Bill doesn't want to do that. Bill doesn't want to. He doesn't want to pay a wide receiver $20 million. He doesn't want to pay, you know what I'm saying, like a cornerback $15-20 million. Like he doesn't want to invest in like top tier players like that. Like he rarely does it. He likes to get the guys who are undervalued on value deals, which is the same thing the Ravens do. It's the same thing the Ravens do. I respect it to some degree, but he likes to get the guys on a value deal, and they overperform. And then if Bill's smart, he'll get some draft capital. Like, okay, they're starting to tail off. They're not 32 yet, like 31, 30. Let me send this guy out of here for a third round pick that will turn into a decent role player. And he's not doing that right now. He's not doing that right now because that also comes with being able to draft well. And I don't think they've been drafting that well recently.
No, I agree with that. I do like the Christian Gonzalez pick. That did like they might have hit a home run there. But I would say that you brought up the Ravens, and that's another thing that I give Bill Belichick a lot of credit for the Ravens' success. Because I mean, if you look at the philosophy that he installed in Cleveland, and the guys that are still the Ozzie Newsons and everything that kind of learned from that aspect that then moved over, that's the perfect. You have an organization that has their game plan and they don't deviate. I would say it's very rare that they deviate from the plan. They have a certain quality of guy that they look for, and they have a certain amount that they're not going to spend for certain things, and they keep it very, very stringent. And that to me is shades of Bill. It's Bill in what he installed in Cleveland. It's Bill in what you see in New England. You see Baltimore do it. And I think that he deserves a little more credit in that if we're going to be talking about legacies and shit. Just throwing it out there. All right.
That's fair. I don't disagree with that. That's fair.
Next up, your Ravens in Pittsburgh. And I knew that before we made the overall predictions, you picked the Ravens after you went through your preamble about how weird shit happens when they play the Steelers. And yes, weird shit happened when they played the Steelers, and they fucking lost the game they had no business losing.
I was not surprised, but I was so disappointed. I was so disappointed. I was just so fucking disappointed. It's just, man, bro, like they dropped 3 touchdown passes. I don't know. PFF gave Lamar the best passing grade of the week. I think it was like a 93.5 or something, or 94 point, something like that, 0.9 or some shit like that. And he was fucking dealing. He was dealing. He was putting it where it needed to be. He was reading the defense. He was getting it to the right guy every time. And it's just like drop. And I think some depending on the site that you use, some try to add like 5 and some try to add, like, I think True Media has it at 7 drops. It's really like 10. Because I sat there and watched. I went to a Ravens bar here in town. I watched it with the homie, and it was just it was astonishing to watch. It was astonishing to watch because it's just I don't know, man. I don't know. But those kind of games happen. Here's my problem. I was talking about it with some Ravens fans on Twitter, and it was just like, here's my issue. Only issue because drops happen. Games like these happen as long as they're once. One game out of 20, I'm okay with it. Here's where they were wrong to me. Why did you blitz Kenny Pickett on 3rd down, 0 coverage with just getting back from injury, Marlon Humphrey against give me the fucking ball, George Pickens. Like, I just don't understand the logic because it's not like Pickett's gonna deal he's dealing or anything. It's just like, bro, you can disguising pressure against him is fine, but like a zero coverage blitz, like what are we doing? And so I don't know if you saw this, but Mike Tomlin said, which I hate that I love Mike Tomlin so much. I really do. But yeah, so but anyway, back to Mike Tomlin. He basically said that whenever I forget what the exact words were, but when the house is dying, they'll burn it down or something like that. And basically, he's right though. Like we go for it all. And then he said, and then I saw a soundbite clip of him saying like they're an aggressive analytics team, and that makes them predictable. And I was like, God damn you, Mike. Yeah, he's right though. It's the thing that Ravens fans have been talking about with Harbaugh for years. It's like, bro, like come on, like we didn't have to do this, and it's just, oh man, it was rough. But I'm not worried about the Ravens at all. I'm so excited. They should be 5-0. They had a bad game, and hopefully it's just about getting everybody healthy, keeping everybody healthy, and maintaining some level of consistency. I love that offense. That offense is great. We have by metrics that I've looked at a top 3 defense. I think one of the metrics I looked at, we're only second to the 49ers. But my thing is I'll be very unbiased about. We haven't played a team that's just like some offensive juggernaut in my opinion yet. With like the best being like the Bengals, but they were struggling. That's fine. But we also haven't been healthy. So it's like, there's a little middle ground there that says that they're going to be a really great defense. Mike McDonald is probably going to be coaching somewhere next year. He's a great defensive coordinator. He's young. Probably go to the Raiders and shit. Like he looks like a Raiders guy. So we'll see what happens there. But
can they afford him? Can they get him out of Josh's contract?
We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. But yeah, they lost to the Steelers, man.
It's the same. Like going into this year when we did the whole preseason prognostications, I said the Ravens are maybe my favorite talent team in the AFC. I think the sky's the limit. Lamar Jackson could be MVP. There's one reason I'm not picking them for any of that. Injuries. If every year your story is injuries, then it ends up being that there's more to it. I don't know what you guys are doing here.
We fired the trainer too. But we kept his staff, which is
whatever it is that's the thing is like everybody can. Yeah, that's just bad luck, man. They're gonna get it next year. When the shit remains true for 3 consecutive seasons, there's something to now I have to hang my hat here. This is okay. This is who these guys are. Until proven otherwise, they're gonna be hurt. That's where I'm at with the Ravens. Is it like, yeah, man, they look great. But they're never at full capacity. They're never at full strength. And the idea that they're going to be around in the playoffs for a consistent run where you got dudes getting injured, coming back, playing on injury, doing all this sort of shit, it's a war of attrition by the time you get to the playoffs, man. And if there's one team that I do not ever have any faith in being healthy enough to compete when it comes to that time, it's you guys. I mean, it's just what it is. It sucks because there's clearly talent there. But like OBJ, has that motherfucker played yet? Because I don't know.
He's played.
I have not seen him on a highlight reel. I've seen him on injury reports. That's what I know that I've seen.
That's another story. But yeah, he's played. He missed like two games, I think. He missed 2.5, I'd say. But yeah, he just. I always prefer getting DeAndre Hopkins over Odell, but that's fine. I'm not really worried about that. They have decent enough receivers, but I wouldn't be mad if we traded for Judy. But here's the thing about that.
So, hold on, you want to trade for the man who's only known for not playing games? Cool, great, bravo! Please do, please bring it.
I take Cortland Sutton too. He's fine. But
Sutton, he plays. I love Sutton. He suits up.
The thing about the AFC North is just right now, the Steelers have our number. They won't be in the playoffs though, so I'm not worried about that. And we have the Bengals number, and we have the Browns number.
And that's just that. That's it. And the Browns have the Bengals number. So, and the Bengals beat the Steelers. It's just the Bengals usually beat the Steelers.
Y'all just
it's
chaotic.
Interesting.
It's just chaotic. Y'all like chaos. AFC North is just chaos. All right, moving on. Philadelphia, LA. Philadelphia gets to win against LA. As far as like who picked what, I think it was a clean sweep. Nope, you picked the Rams.
Yeah.
I just think you were probably just thinking they Sean McVay. Yeah, Jalen Hurts hasn't looked great.
I love the Rams this year. Love the Rams.
I will admit that I was wrong on what I thought the Rams would do, and I already cashed out my bet. It was a $1 bet that the Rams would have the worst season in the NFL. I made 10 cents on my cash out just because I didn't feel like looking at it anymore. So let's keep it moving. Cincinnati, Arizona. I think we alluded to the Bengals look like they're getting better. Joe Burrow's looking healthier. Jamar Chase is in the loop. Good. Jets in Denver. Battle of fucking dog shit teams, but the Jets were able to get it done.
Brees fucking Hall, man.
Goes back to what I've been saying about the Jets all season. I felt as though even if Aaron Rodgers was starting at quarterback, they were still going to lose majority of the games they've already lost because the game plan was shit. And they're relying on throwing the ball entirely too much. And when you have Aaron Rodgers, you kind of do what Green Bay did for all those years, throw unnecessarily. Brees Hall is the truth. And with that,
I'll push back on that though. I'll push back on that only because he wasn't healthy yet. He just wasn't healthy yet. That's the only thing. Brees.
Yeah,
they've been like
Dalvin Cook and Michael Carter. It still means run the ball a lot.
Dalvin Cook is ass right now. Look up the metrics. He's ass.
I still say even when you got defenses like that, you run the fucking ball. And then especially when you got a guy in Zach Wilson that you know if you have him drive back 30 times a game, he's going to throw some stupid fucking balls. Then at the end of the day, when we looked at them as far as offensively, we always knew they had Garrett Wilson. Everybody else was a fucking question mark as far as the receiving core goes. So like I look at that, I'm like, all right, Aaron with Randall Cobb, we know what that'll be, 400 yards by the end of the season. So it's like, I thought the offensive game plan was shit. I still am with the Jets sticking with the status quo and just continuing to move on. I think they can win some games. That motherfucker, just let him get out of his own way. But when we talk about the Jets, because another team that I guess we'll talk about it later. I want to talk about the Vikings. I want to talk about Kirk Cousins in a second. But beyond that, no, we're here. So Kansas City, Minnesota. Kansas City gets the winning over Minnesota. I don't think anybody was surprised by that. Maybe people were surprised, but it was only a one-score game, even though Minnesota could be pretty feisty on offense. But Justin Jefferson went out in this game, and now he's on IR. Which brings me to another topic that I want to get into before we really get into this week. What should the Vikings do? They have a terrible record, whether they have one win now throughout the course of the season. Justin Jefferson is being put on IR, so he will miss at a minimum 4 games. Things are not looking good for Minnesota overall. They just haven't looked great. At some points, they have these offensive bursts, but that's pretty much it. But where they're at right now, they could be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes if they just say, fuck it, this is what we're going to do. If you're them, is Kirk Cousins on the block? Who else is on the block? What do you do?
If I'm them, Danielle Hunter, Kirk Cousins, I said this before after the trade with Trey Lance to Dallas happened. If I was Minnesota, I would trade it for Trey Lance. I would have traded for Trey Lance just to have him behind Kirk and see what he could do going in next year. Like you just have some insurance. They should have, and at this point, it would have turned out great because you could have been like, "Yo, Trey, you got Addison. You guys go to work, Kirk. Go to New York. Go welcome to New York, man. You go have fun with the Jets. Got a 3rd round pick for you, and it would have worked out perfectly. They need to burn the house down. Sell everybody.
We're on the same page there. We're on the same page. Burn the fucking house down. It is what it is. They're over it. Where should Kirk go? If there was a destination, like we don't know whatever the haul would be, but if you had a dream team of where Kirk would go, kind of rank your top 3 or just give me your first one if you really feel bad about it. Because I got one that I'm so in the tank for. But beyond that, I don't know where yet.
I will say the Jets defense hasn't performed to the level that I thought it should have.
I need a complimentary offense.
But See, you're making me change my opinion. Now
I can go if you need time. I have
no. I had because I don't want you to say. I want to say it first.
All right.
I had Jets, but I'm thinking Falcons instead. I'm gonna go Falcons instead. I knew this is what you were gonna say. So I'm gonna go Falcons instead, only because they have the pieces on offense. Kirk would make that fucking work. You said they have a top 10 defense, which I knew they'd be decent on defense. Arthur Smith's great as a great coach. So like now that would do wonders for Kyle Pitts on my dynasty fantasy team. But I know they won't do it. I just know they won't do it. I know they won't do it because they're gonna come up with we don't want to ruin Desmond Ritter's mindset and his mentality, like excuse. And it's like, bro, you the window is this. The window is this. Like this is the window. Like if you got it, go fucking get it. Like I would. They don't have enough space anyway. They still won't be enough. I guess I could get it because I'm like yeah, they could beat the. No, they can't beat the 49ers. Can't beat the Eagles. Can't beat the Cowboys. Oh, okay. Never mind. You're right. Don't do it. Don't do it. Go Jets. Go Jets.
All right. I think that I am firmly against Kirk to the Jets. And the reason I'm firmly against but I'm against it because once again, we go back to what it is I thought about the coaching for New York, and that regardless who was at quarterback, it just wasn't going to work if that's the game plan goes. But I think the likelihood that you have an Aaron Rodgers coming back, you don't need to give up anything to make it through this season. I think everybody, yeah. I think the thing is that everybody was so amped for the Jets this offseason, and we're feeling so that now that there was the letdown that early in the season, I mean, fucking minutes into the season, there is this onus, they got to do something. They got to do something. They were desperate for Aaron. Yeah. It's like, Aaron's coming back. Chill the fuck out. Just make it through. You guys don't have any major contracts that are fucking up. You guys can run it back. You can go to bed. But what you don't want to do is give up any draft capital or give up any players when you need to add additional pieces. They'd like more receivers. They'd like other things on this team going into next year that would make them a contender. I just think that run it back. You knew what you had going in this season. Just fucking run it back. It's okay. And with Aaron and all that he's fucking doing, look, I do not believe in most of what he thinks as far as vaccinations and otherwise, but the motherfucker looks like he might come back this season. And if he does, he might be Jesus. Who knows? All right. So the Jets are low on my fucking rung. I just don't think it's a good idea for them. But number one is the Falcons. And it's funny you say Kyle Pitts because I actually think you trade him for him. I think you get rid of Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts in this offense is just, I know, but hear me out. Atlanta does not know how to use Kyle Pitts, and I don't think Kyle Pitts knows how to work in this Atlanta offense. It just hasn't looked good. I don't know if you've seen the low light reel that's been making the rounds on Twitter this last week of every time Kyle Pitts gets touched, he dives to the ground like somebody ran him over with a car. Like it's just like the physicality aspect of what I don't know if that's just because I look at him and I'm like, you can't be that soft. I love you too much. You're not that soft. So maybe you just have given up, give a shit. So that's what you're doing. You're giving up on the play. I just think that the Kyle Pitts thing to me, even if you get rid of Kyle Pitts in the Atlanta offense, which would be crazy to a lot of people, but you get to keep as much draft capital as you want. Kyle Pitts on a Minnesota Vikings offense with a healthy Justin Jefferson and a Jordan Addison next year, to me, could be something really legit in Minnesota. And if they're in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes, to get a Caleb Williams with that many fucking pass catchers and that much talent together, that would be amazing in that fucking dome up there in Minnesota. So that's what I'm looking at.
Okay, I see what you did. But you just go run 12 personnel with TJ Hawkinson, Kyle Pitts, and Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson all day. And I would love to see that. I would love to see. I'm not just like that. That sounds amazing.
Amazing. But I also think the upgrade with Kirk Cousins to Atlanta offsets anything you're missing as far as Kyle Pitts. Drake London is a dude. Bijan Robinson is the dude. And if he had an offense in which people didn't know, all right, we just got to stack the box. Then you could get something. And I just think that they could have an offense that could really work just with a quarterback change. I really do. Because Kyle Pitts has not done anything. That's not to say he doesn't have talent.
I think he would with a quarterback change. Here's my problem with that. Because once you get rid of Kyle Pitts, then it's like, oh, the Falcons are clicking. Let's double Drake London, and then they have nothing else.
Bijan. I'm sorry. Bijan to me is the game.
I just mean
breaker.
in the spread passing game from it's 3rd and 13. We can't just run an out route with Bijan.
Go ahead. Double Drake London. I got Bijan going. I got Kirk going back and say, get out there, boy. And Bijan running out and can run a route better than 90% of motherfuckers out there. So it's like, what are we doing?
Well, that would be the problem. But yeah.
Maybe it's just a Madden franchise mode in me that wants to see these things go down in this way. I want to see it. I want to see it. I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be so much goddamn fun. But yeah, that's really the only team I have for Kirk. If I'm being completely honest, it's the only place I want to see him go. I really do think in Atlanta he feels like a less cool Matt Ryan. Like he kind of works. He just got that pocket presence and launched that ball down. I think it'd be legit. I think it'd be legit. I don't see another team that really works in that, because everybody else has a quarterback that they're not sure about, that needs more time to develop. I don't see anybody in the other teams, if they have a quarterback that they're paying entirely too much money on. If I'm Denver, do I want Kirk Cousins with Sean Payton? Probably, but I can't do that because I have Russell Wilson contract.
I got a team.
Who?
Steelers.
All right, so that's the other team that's seen floating around. I hate Kirk Cousins in a Steelers uniform. I just don't think he's a Steeler. It has nothing to do with whether or not I think that would help for the offense.
I know what you mean.
It would not seem right to me, him in a Steelers uniform. It just doesn't feel like he would work in that city.
I know what you mean, but just from a functional perspective.
What does a Mike Tomlin, Kirk Cousins conversation look like?
He gonna talk to Matt Canada. He ain't talking to Mike T. He'll go take your ass over to talk to Matt Canada. You ain't talking to Mike T. But that's honestly the best situation I think Pittsburgh is, because I just don't like what the Atlanta offense looks like in general. So like if we're doing that, like, not that I don't like I love what the Pittsburgh offense looks like, because they've had some struggles too, but if you put Kirk Cousins there, a lot of what they've done is trying to mask and help Kenny Pickett, I feel. And he's still not seeing, like, he starts seeing ghosts, and like any times he feels pressure or thinks there's going to be pressure, and that's where he struggles. But Pittsburgh's getting Deontay Johnson back soon. You got Johnson, Pickens. Hopefully they'll realize within the next week that Jaylen Warren is their best running back, and they can let Najee Harris fade into black. And then you put Kirk Cousins with that, and it's like great value Minnesota.
With a defense.
And a top 5 head coach. So
makes the AFC North more fun.
Yeah, not for me, but yeah.
I like I said, I think if you're looking at a pure X's and O's standpoint, and just personnel situation and contract situation, all that, Pittsburgh does make the most sense. You bring in Kirk, and if Kirk works out for the rest of the season, you're Pittsburgh, you can absolutely wrap him up going forward. And you have your veteran quarterback presence with a team that you know is good enough, and a coaching staff that's good enough to make sure that Kirk doesn't kill them. Whereas in Atlanta, he'll throw a lot of picks, but it'll be fun. I just think it's more fun in Atlanta. I just think it's a lot more fun in Atlanta. I think they need a quarterback. I want to see them with a quarterback. Bijan's too fucking talented to not have a quarterback. All right. That's still, I'm hoping the Commander beat the brakes off these assholes so we can see Taylor Heineke in there. All right. We're not going to be talking about the Green Bay Vegas game, I don't think. So let's finish it with the best team in all of football. San Francisco 49ers played the Dallas Cowboys and beat the everlasting shit out of them at 42-10. I think it's very well known now, but the 49ers are the best team in football, right?
They are, but this game does not matter to me at all. It does not count.
You're listening to Micah.
In the grand scheme of things. And no. What the fuck what Micah talking about? Micah needs to shut the fuck up. But I think I put the clip in the group chat. I can't remember, but the clip of Richard Sherman talking about how Shanahan broke Dan Quinn's defense with Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Broke the defense to which they had to change the rules. Do you know who the defensive coordinator is for Dallas? It's Dan Quinn. It's just one of those matchups. Like, I wish I'd thought to bet it. Because when I saw the clip, I was like, oh yeah, there's no way. There's no way. He just has his number. He has his fucking number, and there's nothing he can do about it. He has his fucking number. It's Shanahan versus Quinn, and he's going to lose every time unless he changes something. And I wouldn't change it in the regular season. I'd save it for the postseason. But he has his fucking number. So that's why I say I don't count it in terms of the grand scheme of things. It'd be like, it's like the Steelers-Ravens game. It's like Mike Tomlin has beat the Ravens 5 out of the last 6 games. They've never had a better team in the last 6 games. They haven't had a better team. But Mike Tomlin has John Harbaugh's fucking number. He's a better coach.
I'm not disagreeing with any of that because I do think, I do think that Brock Purdy, he's on a list for me, and I'm not ready to make it public where he's at in my rankings because I think I'm gonna catch a lot of shit. But he's high, and
he's too high. I'm gonna tell you right now, he's too high.
I'm not ready to make it public. Not ready to make it public. He's higher than I think he's in most people's in estimations.
Is he higher? Is he higher in top 10?
He's in the top 10.
You out your fucking mind. Okay.
But here's the thing.
Let's do it. Come on, let's do it. Give me that. Come on, fuck that game. Come on.
The one thing about the game is that outside of what it is that Kyle Shanahan does against Dan Quinn, we know San Francisco's defense is good, but we know San Francisco's defense at times can be fucking great. And holding the Dallas Cowboys to 10 points when Dallas was trying to throw the ball all over the place, just trying to make anything fucking work, and they couldn't get shit done against this fucking 49ers defense. I just think Fred Warner should be in people's conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. He won't get it. Just won't happen because of the position he plays, and he's not as flashy as Ray Lewis. He's not going to have those same numbers that Ray would have because Ray would always have the interceptions and the fucking sacks that would make it so that everybody would be like, oh, okay, all right, we got to give it to Ray. But Fred Warner has, to me, been arguably the best defensive player in football, give or take a few guys, right? But at times, he just looks lights out, and he can do anything on the defense. San Francisco is just clicking. And I think the thing with San Francisco is they have been arguably the best team in football, the best overall team in football the last 3-4 years. It's just we knew that they didn't have the quarterback. They had Jimmy G or they had Trey Lance before the Brock Purdy show. Then even last year, you look at that playoff game in which Purdy gets injured and then it's over. At that point, everybody knows it's over because they were working on fucking Mr. Irrelevant at that particular point. But I don't think anybody really paid. It was Mr. Irrelevant is actually the dude. He's the guy for them. This team is just fucking stacked. And I think that they're so much fun to watch. Christian McCaffrey, once again, to talk about the Ravens as far as injuries, if I had to put money down, is Christian McCaffrey going to be healthy the rest of the season? I'd probably say no. But as long as he maintains what he's doing right now, they have arguably the best offensive player and the best defensive player in all of football on the best teams. Like, it's just an overall just Goliath of a fucking squad with a head coach in Kyle Shanahan that I've been on record saying, I think Kyle's special. Huh?
Offensive coach in the game.
I
know we're really excited about Mike McDaniel right now. He's probably number 2. No. Let me not disrespect the God. Let me not disrespect the God. Andy fucking Reid is top whatever. But I would argue that Kyle's the best offensive coach in the game.
Kyle's up there. It's the thing with me for Kyle is that I think Kyle does a great job as far as using personnel, probably better than anybody. Utilization of personnel, I think is second to none. Andy has always been great. His offense has always been great, but now he has Mahomes to couple with it, and it's just lights out now. Even though if they don't have a Tyreek Hill and they don't have a healthy Travis Kelce, I don't know what they're doing. I don't think they know what they're doing yet. I would say McVay has got to be up there.
Yeah, he's top 3, top 5, top 3.
He's got. I think I put him in top 3. McDaniels right now is also one of those dudes that are having fun, and he might be the best out of all of them at the end of this. But he only is him because he's learned from everybody else, and people get to innovate.
He was under the 2 ahead of him.
Trust me, I know. We're talking about dudes that I have experience with. Okay, so
Bobby Slowick, Houston. Damn. I wanted the Ravens to get him, but
fucking hate my team. All right, Brock Purdy, Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
Justin Herbert.
You fucking, you're one of those.
Joe Burrow.
You're one of those. Is in order?
Loose order. Let's say loose.
Okay. Because Justin at 2 is crazy.
I love Herbert. I love Herbert. I just think Herbert's in a situation which nobody watches him play.
No, we watch him.
You see him
We
on
watch
red zone
him.
scoring touchdowns, but I don't think anybody
No.
sees the breadth of him playing full games. I just don't think people watch the Chargers. They don't have a fan base. They don't have anything. They should be back in San Diego. God damn. They don't.
They don't have a large supportive fan base. They have a fan base, but it's smaller than it should be.
Nigga, LA didn't deserve one team. They got two, and they can't sustain it. Okay, the Chargers don't have anything. Okay, I love them, but they don't have anything. So
it's sad.
I love Herbert. I might be overrating because of how much I love him, but I'm putting him in number 2. But once again, this is loose. It's Burrow, Allen. I put Jackson.
Thank you. Because he's been amazing.
And now we get in the situation where I'm kind of like, I'm going to say Brock Purdy. Like, I can make an argument.
You got to stop.
He hasn't lost, man. Like, what are we doing?
You got to stop. You got to stop.
Look, it was something I was critical of Scott Turner in the Washington offense a lot last year. And one of the reasons I was extremely critical of them is that you saw that they, based on what they thought in their brain were limitations for Taylor Heineke, the offense changed with Carson Wentz to limit what he was doing. Where it is you need to kind of open up the playbook and let Taylor just be a baller, right? They said he didn't have the arm strength, he didn't have this, so we're just going to scale the offense all the way down. When Jimmy G and Trey go down last year, I think everybody thought that what San Francisco was going to do was, all right, we're going to rely on the run a whole lot more. There's going to be a lot more screen passes. We're going to see a lot more of the short game of Deebo Samuel. We're going to see this, that, and the other. And Kyle Shanahan did the exact opposite. They started throwing down the field more than they had ever had in any of the years with Jimmy G or with Trey Lance or anybody that we've seen in San Francisco for quite some time. They started just launching the ball. They were like, Ayuk is a guy. We're going to fucking do this. Purdy can do. This is why I say from a personnel standpoint, Shanahan knows his guys. They put more on Purdy than they had on Garoppolo or Trey Lance. And he has answered the call tremendously. Like every once in a while, you'll see a Purdy duck, right? Just a ball that's just not going anywhere. But there's so many more situations where I'm like, God damn, that was perfectly fucking placed. Holy shit. Like, God, oh my God, the timing on that? Holy goddamn. A dude has, on a Kyle Shanahan team, you got a quarterback that has a full control of the offense. And that to me counts for something.
It's the Mike D'Antoni boost. It's the Mike D'Antoni with a point guard boost. You put a point guard in Mike D'Antoni's offense, and you get Jeremy, and you get Linsanity. It's and you get like these guys who look. You get an average player in the right system. Where did Joe Budden in the right system turn a role player to a superstar?
Let me count it real quick because I want to see if you change. I want to see if you change this just a little bit. I would tell you that that's accurate for any Shanahan going to daddy to son when it comes to the zone scheme and running backs. But that has not been true for quarterbacks enough.
No, it hasn't. It has not. It's very true for running backs. It's like that they used to Terrell Davis was a 6th round pick. But yeah,
the Houston Texans with Alice Gibbs, you got Arian Foster, fucking all those dudes that came out of fucking nowhere. They lit it up.
Yes, but my counter to that is that the difference is if you give Shanahan could make a top 100 running back a top 10 running back.
Yes.
He can make a top 15 quarterback a top 8 to 7 quarterback. Case in point, 2016 Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan was always good. He was always good. Always good. Really good. Always got one of those guys like, where do we rank him? Like, where do we rank him? Where do we put him? Got in that Kyle fucking Shanahan offense. Hey, MVP. MVP.
You got that right.
You got that right. It's the Kyle Shanahan. It's because, and it's I love their fucking offensive philosophy. I love to hear him talk about it. He's so fucking great. It all starts with the play action. Like it all starts with play action.
Absolutely.
And in this offense, they have. We talked a little bit about. You said okay, so if we want to say that Christian McCaffrey is the best offensive player in football, that's fine. I just want to break it down by position. You've got at minimum a top 5 running back. I would say top 1, but let's just do at minimum. At minimum, top 5 running back at the position. Top 3 tight end. You don't have a top 10 wide receiver, I would say, but you have 2 top 25, top 20, arguably. 2 top 20 wide.
I can see that.
Top 2 fullback, and you check.
Only 2 used in all NFL, but yeah.
Yeah. Top 5 left tackle.
Number
top
1.
Five, top 3 left tackle. And then you give him, like I said, a top 15, top 20 quarterback, and he looks amazing. But if you break the numbers down, he's good, not great. He is, like I said, on the cusp of top 10 for me. His production has been better than some other quarterbacks. Fine. I don't think production necessarily necessitates like where you should be among like the rankings all the time. But I would say he's top. I would say he's probably like 11 right now for me, 11 or 12. He's winning, man. He's winning. I think if he keeps winning, like he'll rise. And it's just like, but I think it'll be one of those things where similar to what happened with Brady when he was young, like he won so much, and then like he'll finally get good. He'll get good, and we'll remember him differently. It'll be like, oh yeah, Purdy. Of what happened with Tom Brady. Tom Brady didn't start off with a fucking good offensive staff. Like he didn't have an offense, like a great offensive. Like he wasn't surrounded by. He had Corey Dillon. And what was it? Was Tim Brown? Yeah.
Troy Brown.
And so, but Purdy, like I said, he has. If you put perfect example, so you got him above Tua.
So this is why I said it's loosely. So the 2 names that I knew that I might catch flack on are Tua and Trevor. Them 2. And
yes,
that's where I go
especially Trevor. Heavy on the Trevor for me.
I get it. Those 2, I understand it because I would put, although Tua this year, the thing with me is that I will give credit for there is a pure talent sort of thing that happens, of course, but there also, so like even my love for Justin Herbert, right? Justin Herbert, I loved him, even though you could never put him in top, like with what Joe Lombardi was doing last year and what you're getting out of him at the quarterback position as far as like output. It'd be hard pressed for me to say that he should be in anybody's top 5 to top 10 just because they're not doing enough with him, right? But I think that there is a combination of system and quarterback that can elevate you. And I'm not going to question it because as long as the system exists and you're playing in it, that's where you are. So like the thing is, like, to me is if you were to ask, okay, and you're asking if you put Trevor or Tua in this offense, what does that look like? I don't know. I think
we know with Tua. I think we know. We've seen it. He's in a similar situation.
He's in a very similar situation. I'm just saying that and the thing with Tua, especially this year, is he is pushing that fucking ball down the field. But then I also say with Tua, I have to look at Tua and say he does have Tyreek Hill. He does have Jalen, and that's the output that he's getting. I look at Trevor. Then I'm looking at Brock, and I love Brock Purdy. Let's move on. Fuck this.
The hypocrisy is crazy.
I love Brock Purdy. I really do. I think, look, maybe I'm just trying to be early to it. Maybe this is all it is. Because I look at Brock Purdy and I'm saying, if Kyle's going to be in San Francisco and that team's going to be rocking there, it is way too early to say this. And I know I sound like a fucking psychopath. I just got a feeling. There are going to be Tom Brady comparisons in this guy.
Here's my thing. I don't disagree with that point. I just think he's not there yet. To the Tom Brady point, Tom Brady wasn't that guy.
I can see it.
He wasn't.
But I see it.
But then say that. Don't say he's there. Say that.
I'm early. I want to be fucking early.
If you take, not even like if you put somebody else, I'll give you a much better fucking comparison. If you take Brock Purdy and you put him in this Baltimore Ravens offense, you'd be like, man, should they replace him? Should they like how are we feeling about him? Like, he's doing all right. Like, he's not doing good enough. Okay, but maybe Lamar, he needs more help.
All right, but remember, my number one destination for Lamar when y'all were fucking around with him was San Fran.
Yeah, my number one destination for any offensive coordinator. Like, I wanted somebody from the tree to be a Ravens coordinator because that's why I have Lamar. That's why I don't think you can put, to me, Justin Herbert. I really don't want to put Josh and Joe over Lamar, but I can accept that. But I can't put Justin or Trevor over Lamar yet because he does so much more with less. He does so much more with less. I saw what Josh Allen looked like when he didn't have Stephon Diggs, and it wasn't pretty. It was just okay.
I get that. The only thing with Lamar that I'm gonna keep going back to is that there becomes a certain point where if I know because of injuries, whether it be to yourself or the team, that you're not going to be there, you're not there. It's not there.
See. I can't wait till we get through this season, because if you finish the season healthy, we can call these 2 fucking seasons what they were, which is aberrations. But we'll see.
It's not a fucking aberration anymore. This is 3 years running, man.
It's what? No, I'm talking about just Lamar, not the Ravens, and just Lamar.
It all counts because that's the thing that we're gonna say next year, right? If Lamar makes it through this season and Lamar's healthy next season, but there's no one fucking around him because they're all fucking hurt, and they're already struggling to figure out the guys to put with him, and now they don't have time with him because he's fucking hurt. There's limitations.
Question: who do you think's missed more games in their career, Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow?
Joe.
That's all.
Joe Burrow has Jamar Chase and TA. I mean, it's what it is. Lamar doesn't have anybody to scratch the surface of him. I love Zay. He ain't fucking there.
That's my point. That is my point.
It all counts, man. I can't take it away from. I can't look at Peyton Manning and be like, well, what would he have looked like without Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne? I don't give a fuck because he had them and we're there. It's what it is. It's all part of it. I don't want to.
That's fair. That's fair.
So I have to look at all the pieces kind of together. And that's the thing. I know if there's any part that I'm being a hypocrite, it's about my Herbert take because I love Herbert. But I also told people that, hey, if there was any other team I'd be a fan of outside of Washington, it's Herbert. It's Herbert. It's the Herberts. It's the Chargers. I love the fucking Chargers. So yeah, take my Chargers take with a grain of fucking salt. Even though I was goddamn right about Joe Lombardi, but you got to be a blind man not to fucking see it. All right, this week's picks. To start off tonight, you guys are watching this. If you're watching this on the day it releases, no, you know what? It's not coming out tonight. Fuck, I'm not going to be able to get this episode.
Chiefs won.
All right. The Chiefs have won that game. You've already seen it as you're watching this episode on Friday. All right.
Pat Mahomes had 5 touchdowns, guys. It was a great game. It was a great fucking game.
I have 4 touchdowns and a bunch of parlays, so I'm either going to have a lot of money or not.
I need to check. I'm going to bet on Pacheco, actually. I think I'm going to bet on Pacheco.
I have Pacheco touchdown. I got touchdowns on everybody on the Kansas City in something. I got Rasheed Rice, whatever the fuck that dude's name is. I got him. I got a 2 touchdown parlay with him in it. I'm like, I just got touchdowns all over, which makes me feel, because of how high I feel about it, might not work out that way. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Or you guys have already seen. And we'll either be really right or really wrong. All right. Ravens, Titans. Who you got? All right. Should I go first? Right. I'm with you. Ravens. God damn it. Oh, so soon. Washington, Atlanta.
Washington.
I'm going Washington as well. If we lose this game, it's over. The season's over. I'm done. I don't get. But I've already told everybody going into this season, I didn't give a fuck about the outcome of the season because it's all an evaluation to me. I didn't think we're a Super Bowl contender. Never really had any bones about that.
Yeah.
But if we lose this game, coming off of the loss we just sustained against the Bears, I'm out. I'm fucking out. I'm out. I'm fucking out. I'll watch them and bet on them occasionally. That's it. Minnesota, Chicago. Who you got?
Justin Fields, baby.
Could this be the Jordan Addison really coming out game? You got Jefferson there, and it was just playing at Chicago outside. Fields look good. I'll go Bears. I think Field.
Bears. Okay.
Seahawks, Bengals. I'm going Bengals.
Same.
49ers, Browns. I'm going 49ers. Go ahead, pick your Browns. Pick your Browns defense. That's Brock Purdy.
I want to pick the Browns.
I know you do. Just do it.
It's one of the things that I think it's the Browns team that's coming off a bye week. You have so much time to prepare. The 49ers are coming off a big win. It's the same thing happened with the Bills, same thing happened with the Ravens. You get a big win, and Purdy has to lose at some point.
Is it this week in Cleveland?
I'm gonna go with the 49ers.
Good choice. Good choice. Good choice.
But I want to say I was gonna bet. I'm betting the under. The 49ers are not gonna score more than 20 points. I promise you. I promise you. I promise you. I'll make a side bet with you if you want. They won't score more than 20 points.
I gotta look through more details on that before I do it, because I also think
I give you 17 and a half.
All right, I'll take the over.
Okay. Well, what you want to bet? $10, $20? What you want to do?
I mean, we can't bet too much money. We couldn't afford to go to Mexico. So
that's why I said $10, $20. What you want to do?
Well, let's do $10. $10. 17 and a half. I take the over.
$10. All
right. Dolphins, Panthers, Dolphins.
Yeah.
All right. Jacksonville, Indianapolis, or Indianapolis at Jacksonville. I'm going Jacksonville.
Jackson. Trevor time.
New Orleans at Houston.
Damn. This one was tough for me. I don't remember what I put.
I got the Texans.
I think I want to go Texans too, but I'm going New Orleans.
Look, New Orleans, they've been weird. It's been weird. I just think New Orleans has just been a weird team. New England at Las Vegas. Who you got in this one?
What a shit bowl. Doesn't Bill have a winning record against his assistants?
That's the only reason I'm picking the Patriots.
Yeah, that's what I'm going with.
Although, for the narrative of our earlier conversation, if Bill has lost it or not, to lose to Josh McDaniels might be the final nail in the coffin.
That would be. It would be. And that's why I'm like, you got to show. It could be.
It could be. God. Like, that would be the narrative, and that would be it.
I'm going to go with the Patriots, though. That's crazy.
Cardinals, Rams.
Yeah.
Eagles, Jets.
I almost went Jets with the upset. I kind of want to pick them for the upset, but I think the Jets are a bad matchup for the Eagles. But I'm gonna go Eagles.
I'm picking the Jets.
I won't be surprised.
I just think it's one of these teams that I think Philadelphia gets a little full of themselves sometimes, and I think that this is one of those teams that I think they can just win.
Well, yeah.
And I look at this. Jalen Hurts' best game probably came against us, and we have one of the worst goddamn defenses in all of football. And we almost won that game. And that's why a lot of people in Washington are wondering whether or not that go for two thing is something that's really haunting a lot of people here. I want to see the Jets defensive line stuff the brotherly shove up the Eagles' fucking ass. That's what I want to see.
Okay.
Lions.
I'm not mad at that.
Lions, Bucks. I'm going Lions.
Bucks.
All right, you just need another. You need the Lions to continue to prove it to you. It's all right.
They do that. I do.
They're up to the task. They're up to the task. Giants, Bills. Go walking. Yeah. And we have Cowboys, Chargers on Monday night.
Chargers coming off a bye.
I'm going Chargers.
Eckler's back. But they're not a playoff team. Go Dallas.
I liked what I've been seeing about the CeeDee Lamb stuff because it fits every narrative I've had about that kid.
You don't think he's a wide receiver one?
I think
because I do.
I don't. I just
think he's in the lower tier.
I think he's in a low enough one. I think he can occasionally flash wide receiver one. I think he has a skill set to be a wide receiver one. I just don't think in that offense and the way that he does it, they need somebody else. I thought the Cooks would be that guy. I thought it was one of the most underrated picks. It hasn't been. Gallup still looks, when he gets certain opportunities and he's healthy, still looks like he's a part of that offense more. I still think if you're looking at Dallas, the biggest mistake they've made outside of the Ezekiel Elliott contract was not giving Amari Cooper the contract. Because I think Amari, to me, is a wide receiver one. And I know that people would look at that and say, well, hold on, what the fuck are you talking about? Do you think Amari's better than CD? And it's like, I'm not necessarily saying that purely from a talent standpoint. I just don't think CD is the guy that I count on game in and game out with the high receptions, with this, that, and the other. I think that he's more your complimentary big shot guy. And I need somebody as a wide receiver one that I can throw to a target 10 times a game. And I don't look at CD as that guy. I look at Amari as being that guy. Outside of being a slot receiver.
Yeah, I disagree. I think CD is a wide receiver one. I just think he's on the lower tier. He's a top 10 wide receiver. I think he's probably like 7 or 8 or some shit like that. But I like CD Lamb a lot, so maybe I'm biased.
I'm also biased against him because it's the fucking Cowboys, so it is what it is. All right. Final thoughts. What you got?
So the Drake album. There's been a lot of criticism about it. Some of it publicized. Shout out to Joe Budden. I thought Joe gave a good review. I know Aubrey responded he didn't like it. He felt like he was taking personal shots. That was a little hypocritical. Some of Joe's like the age thing, but I understood why Joe said it. But I don't care about their back and forth, though. It was hilariously entertaining. The album itself, I would say, has grown on me a lot. However, I think, which has been my issue with Drake for the last 2 or 3 albums, outside of Her Loss, I loved Her Loss, for the last 2 or 3 albums, is that there's too much filler. He has 23 songs on this, and I love maybe 5. I can stand maybe 11 or 12. The rest could go, but my issue again with Drake is that if he were to chew the fat, I honestly feel like he'd have one of the better discographies in rap history. But he doesn't chew the fucking fat. He did it with Scorpion, double disc. It's 22 songs, I think. And it should not have been 22 songs. If you trim that down, it's like Jay-Z's Blueprint 2. If you trim it down, if you take these 4 songs off this disc and these 3 songs off this disc, make that one album, and you got a great ass. You probably got a classic. That's for Scorpion. Certified Lover Boy was, in my opinion, his worst album at that point. The difference between For All the Dogs and Certified Lover Boy for me is that Certified Lover Boy has some highs that For All the Dogs does not reach. Like, there's no champagne poetry, there's no pipe down, but he has some songs that are the songs that I like that are very good. They're like in that tier right below, though. He has more songs that are like in that tier right below than he does that are in that tier above, for me. So this is in the running for his worst album, but it's an album that I'd like where he tried to go with it. I disagree with some of the takes that it's the same. He's doing the same thing, the same formula. It's the same formula in terms of the album being too many fucking songs and basically it being a playlist and not a cohesive album. That's the same formula, but his sound is different to me. And some of the stuff he tried was different for me. I'm okay with it. He tried some different things, let Yachty kind of take the production and all that. Like, it's cool. I'm not a big Yachty fan from his production, from a production perspective, but he can produce. He is really good. I'll give him his credit. He's really good. And but some of the songs, I think the criticism should be like there's a lack of, like, I don't feel it with some of the songs. Like, there's no connect for me, and maybe they're not supposed to. But like, I think Joe was saying, like, maybe Joe and I were saying, like, maybe but just maybe like we've outgrown his music. So maybe, but some of them didn't connect for me. And that's fine. But the songs that did connect, I love. The ones I fuck with, I love. Like, in my opinion, he should have leaned more into being a dog ass nigga on the album than trying to be a little bit like the sappier joints are the ones that didn't hit for me. The dog ass nigga, like Virginia Beach. Oh, I love Virginia Beach so much. It's a great song.
So he came out to push again.
No, he didn't come out to push. That's what a lot of people were saying. Like, they thought, and I also think that fed into the criticism of the album. Everybody's like, "Oh, this is the one he's going to rap. He's going to bar us up." And I'm like, Drake already said that he could never do that. So I don't know why we were expecting that. I expect, and especially after hearing "Slime You Out," like,
I just hear a song called Virginia Beach. Why the fuck do you have a song called Virginia Beach?
Yeah, but like it's just about being a dog ass nigga. Like, the song is just like, I'm like, what's my favorite bar? Like, what's my favorite bar from? Said I could have treated you better. No, I couldn't. Like, it's not even a bar. It's just like, no, I couldn't. But he had some bars on there though. Like, on the end of the song after he quit singing, he also needs to stop singing on some of these shits. Like, some of them he sounds like, oh, I like this verse. Like, some of them's like, no, put somebody else on that. Like get Bryson Tiller, get Brent Fayez, somebody, and switch that up. But I say that to say I'm glad he's taking a break, and he should take a break and come back after about 2 to 3 years. But it's not a terrible album. It's just not up to his standard.
We did a review of Certified Lover Boy and the last, what was it, the Kanye project? I think it was.
Yeah.
Donda. And I think I said back then that after that album, I was done listening to Drake albums. I can safely say that I've continued that trend, and I have not listened to this album at all. I've not heard a single song. I've not listened to a single song.
The J. Cole, I love Cole. Cole's verse is amazing. Best verse on the album.
I love Cole. I really like Cole. I think it's cooled off from loving him. I really like Cole. I'm just, nothing's really hitting me. Hip hop is not hitting me in this particular season of my life the way it usually does, is what I would say. It's just not hitting. So the only thing I would say as far as there is an element of Drake that I wish that he went to, and there's another guy. There's a certain era about 12 years ago where I really thought the Toronto fuckboy was going to be a thing. So like The Weeknd in that era and Drake of that, if Drake could get a little bit of that after listening to a Weeknd, one of those early like Balloons, House of Balloons, you felt like you needed a shower, or you felt like even if you didn't cheat on your significant other, you might have just listening to the songs. Like it just felt dirty, and it felt good. It felt dirty but good. It's like, I think the white equivalent is in that 90s era with like Fiona Apple, where like everybody wanted to look like a heroin addict. Everyone looked underage, and like it was like that version for light-skinned black people in Toronto. Like I felt as though that's the lane that they should have continued in, and they didn't. And it's all too poppy. I love Blinding Lights, but I preferred wanting to take showers after listening to The Weeknd. Like looking at my girlfriend and be like, I want to fuck a whore right now, not you. Like, I don't know. That's the opposite. My final thought would be about the movie that I got to see on Tuesday, which was The Creator. Gareth Edwards is responsible for making my all-time favorite Star Wars movie. I finally have just had the balls to say that I like it more than Empire Strikes Back over the last few years, which has now become not so hot a take, which is great. It was when it was in the immediate aftermath of that movie.
Just a quick thing: Star Wars fans are wrong about
almost
the way they. Yes. Okay.
But I'm a Star Wars nut. My when I was married, my wedding band was a Battle of Hoth wedding band. Okay, I'm a Star Wars geek. That being said, it's kind of like what you just said about Drake as far as the aging out. I think what people don't realize is the Star Wars is made for kids, and if you're 30-something years old, you're like, it doesn't hit like the prequels did. Nigga, you were supposed to be 20-something years older now. It isn't supposed to hit the same way. You're different. And that's the whole point. But did it resonate with people that were your age when you first saw it? Yes. So shut the fuck up and realize that you've grown up. And that's why I love Rogue One and I love Andor, is that those are the things that they look and they target for my demographic. It's like, oh, it's Star Wars, but for adults. This is good. That's why it's my favorite. Andor would have never been my favorite as a child. Neither would fucking Rogue One. As a kid, no. It's too fucking serious. Understand who the fuck you are as your age group. But back to The Creator. Gareth Edwards, I thought, did an amazing... The one thing above all other things that I don't believe them when they tell me is that he made the movie for $80 million. I don't understand. If that's the case, Disney needs to start laying motherfuckers off left and goddamn right. Because the amount of joy I had just watching the movie, and the best part about The Creator to me, there isn't an original thought really in the entire movie, but but I still liked it overall because of the through line of AI without giving anything away. But I think what really blew me away was how much I just wanted to spend more time in that future. I wanted to know more about what was happening. I wanted to know how the fuck New Asia came to be. I just wanted to see motherfuckers just living life. Like, I would be completely fine if there was an entire The Creator universe of just shit happening. Give me a fucking AI police squadron procedural drama. I'd be fine with it. I love great world building. And when you do that with practical effects, and when you do that, the keeping things and the cinematography, I forget the guy's name, same cinematographer that did Dune, Motherfuckers are knowing how to really do shit in a really, really, really good way. And I love it. And my last thought about the creator is it didn't happen at the level that I wanted it to. But I do think, as much as we all might love this man, there needs to be a conversation about John David Washington. And I've always had a problem with his line delivery, be it that his best line delivery of all time is in Black Klansman, when he's going with white man or whatever. And you realize, while it is funny and you hearing him say that, that's just how he talks. Like, it's just how he delivers lines. And we found it funny. He's bad at it. I wanted to see him in more of an action movie thing. I think he can do that. I think he's a very physical guy. You could tell that he was a athlete. And then he finds something that he can do short little quips and do this. I actually think John David Washington, I'd like to see him in a Fast and Furious movie just to do it. I just want to see him do it. I just think that there needs to be a level of something that kind of is going to sound really mean. I don't mean it to sound mean, but lowers the bar just a little bit for him to cross over. I just haven't seen it yet. And he has been given 2 major opportunities. And I don't think people understand how big an opportunity Tenet was. And I thought he did a lot of good things in Tenet until he's talking.
We were talking about on the side about who you felt could have replaced him. You didn't say John Boyega.
I didn't. Because so John Boyega goes in that interesting territory. I think John Boyega is a hell of an actor. I think he solidified his place in my mind with They Clone Tyrone, in the sense of really bringing me something I have never seen from him before, and showing that he does have a range that maybe was even underrated to me, because I thought he was good. Like, I thought that he was one of the best things about Star Wars, and I think it's a tragedy what they did to his character. He's been really good when he pops up and stuff. What's the sci-fi British movie?
Attack the Block?
Yes. Great in that. John Boyega would have been interesting. I know the name that I threw out was Winston Duke, and that's a dude that I think needs more opportunities. And also, I love the physically imposing nature of Winston Duke, and he also has an ability to joke and a really good clip. I am not a fan of the movie Us at all. I don't think it's that. Well, I'm not going to say at all. I don't think it's a good movie. I think it's Justin Peele's worst movie that he's made. But I would say that
Jordan Peele.
Huh? Jordan Peele's amazing.
You said Justin. You said Justin.
Peele. Sorry, Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele's amazing. He's one of my. Nope was one of my. It was either number 1 or number 2 movie for me the year it came out. So, huge fan of that movie. I think Nope is supremely underrated. I think me and Sean Fennis are the only 2 people in America that believe that. So but the thing with me is that Winston Duke in the movie Us cooks. Him playing the kind of lame dad, corny dude after coming off of M'Baku in fucking Black Panther was like, this is a dude that needs more shots. Just because I think that he can be a more traditional actor than other people can. And I think he could do a great job at it, being charismatic. Because there are moments in this movie where they're trying to have John David Washington be kind of jokey with the kid that he's with. And to me, every time he does it, like, some of the jokes are okay, but his delivery of the jokes, I'm like, I don't know what you're doing, man. Just don't know. I don't understand it. So that's just where I'm at on it. I just want to see some other guys get some shots.
I have a counter to not your John point, but to who you said you would like to see replace him. Have you seen P-Valley? You saw Don't Clone Tyrone, right?
They Clone Tyrone.
Okay. They Clone Tyrone. The guy who plays the antagonist initially, who kills John Boyega's character, is Jay. I think it's Jay Alfonso is his name. I would have liked to see him. He is so fucking good in P-Valley. P-Valley's it's not like a highbrow show, so it's not necessarily something that I would recommend you watch. So I think it's good. There are strippers that show their bodies. But it's a good, fun watch. But Jay Alfonso, I hope I'm getting his name correct.
It's Jay Alphonse Nicholson. Jay Alphonse Nicholson.
Yes, he is great. he carries. It's like, I'm trying to think of the actor that did the CW who shouldn't have been doing the CW. No. It's like the guy, the guy, I forgot his name, but the character who played Miles on Teen Wolf, on the MTV Teen Wolf. He could really act. And everybody else couldn't, but you could tell that he could really act. Now,
bravo to you for turning into Teen Wolf. Yeah, damn.
Now in P Valley, there are some really good actors. I'm not gonna say like there's a couple, 2 or 3 that stand out that are bad, but like, I mean, they got Loretta Devine, like they got some quality in there. But he can fucking act, bro. Like oh man, like
he's good in Clone Tyrone. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I want to see him do more. I want to see him do more. He's got next for me. That's the guy I want to see do more.
But see, the thing is to me is like when we're looking at that, it's like what in order to do the creator, right? Which is this is a tentpole, big budget, even though much lower than I thought it would be. Not based on intellectual property, original make that you know is going to get a bunch of theaters and all kinds of stuff. I would say that the leap for a dude like that, J. Alphonse Nicholson, to get that role would be huge. To me, there's certain guys that have been kind of meandering around.
Yeah, Peter, he's not there yet. No.
See, that's why. So the Winston Duke pick to me is one of those things where I'm like, you have enough cachet in big budget things that you should get an opportunity for something. Like that to me that's where I look at for him.
I don't disagree with you. I just think people get pigeonholed. And I think he's been pigeonholed as best supporting.
And that's where I want him that's where I'm like, I want to see him take that leap. Because I'll tell you right now, there are certain guys that I think are fumbling the bag just a little bit with it. And there are certain dudes that I think are more interesting than this movie, if I'm being completely honest. I think Lakeith Stanfield is too interesting for the creator. I think Daniel Kaluuya might be too interesting for the creator. Because Daniel Kaluuya, if you start looking at his filmography, he's actually putting together in my opinion, the single most interesting filmography of young actors in Hollywood. I think he's doing something truly special that we'll look back on 30 years from now and be like, he might have the most eclectic taste of any actor that we've seen.
I think he's the one right now. I think, but we've had this conversation, the difference between movie star and like a guy like what Dan Kaluuya is doing. He's not like a Michael B. Jordan is more of a movie star.
I think Kaluuya could be though.
I'm not saying he can't be. I'm just it's Will Smith versus
oh shit, we didn't talk about him today. Oh God.
We don't need to. we don't need to.
Dumb motherfucker. All right, yeah. Before we get out of here, I've just got one thing about Will Smith. I did talk to somebody yesterday and say that the only thing I want to do is I want to pretend that I'm Robin Williams in Good Will Hunting and hold Will and remind him, you're Will Smith. You're Will Smith. You're Will Smith. You're Will Smith. Stop fucking with me, man. You're Will Smith. Nigga, understand who you are and act accordingly. Stop this bullshit. You are Will Smith. Get the fuck out of here with this.
I want to commend Will Smith for doing what I think is more of a man thing than people realize, and like shutting up. And shutting up publicly anyway. I don't know, because I don't know what he does behind the scenes publicly.
Oh, we know. We saw Will Smith strikes me as somebody who punches walls. There's probably a lot of holes in walls and trailers and stuff. That's why he needs big trailers.
I hope not. He might be. I don't know. I know I didn't read his book, but I know he's dealt with things.
He's bottling things up in here. And I told I will leave on this note because I don't think we could say anything after I say this. I do think Will Smith, in most circumstances, his situation, without going into detail, would be a murder-suicide for most. All right, boss. This is ASOS episode 171 or 2. I don't know when the guys are back. I guess for next week. Maybe Keem, this might be the last time we see you for a few weeks, so hopefully you can make it next week. But yeah, bye everybody.